Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Call of Duty Rec League. And you're probably wondering, hang on a minute. We were just watching one series and now we're on another. Well, it was taking a little too long to decide what was happening. Disputes left, right, and center. So we're going to leave that to the side. We'll keep you updated of the final score. And instead, we're moving over to Atlanta Dazed versus Seattle Sloths in the Iron Division. And in doing so, I believe Scav's just come back from his toilet break as he came late to the stream.
So you gotta really publicize that to the audience, huh, Hyper?
I am like absolutely shaming you right here, right now.
I'll get you back. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get you back for it. Just as Simplex has been getting the backs of all of the Seattle Sloths. He's on a 5 streak right now, opening into P1. A 5 streak at that could quickly turn into a cruise missile, which will come into play in for an opening to be made onto P2 as Seattle Sloths have parked the bus, as Hyper usually says, onto the point, showing no sign of it slowing down. So plus there it is. There's the 6th kill and the 7 to his name as he's sitting nicely with an 8th. He can do this all alone right now. Atlanta Dazed, they're looking real spiffy right now.
He's continuing, he's on 9, he does not want to give up, and finally his head is taken off, and he will fall to the ground. Atlanta, well, that's a start you want to see. A lovely break onto point in a hard position, because you're going right into the gunfire and the easy respawns of Seattle, but somehow Atlanta just kept on going, kept the movement flowing, and Simple, with that 9 streak, carries the team like it's his own. And it begs the question, what is this man drinking today? What pot of coffee does he have, or what energy drink is by his side?
I'll tell you what, there goes the cruise missile, already invested in this early into the game. It connects, and along with that, stun from Leo will go on to hit blue. It's not often that you see a team kill, never mind a stun team kill at that. So nevertheless, Atlanta Dazed will take advantage of that, bust open the doors, get right onto the point, and take it right back from Seattle. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Iron Premade, which means all of these teams on paper have signed up alongside to play with each other. So with that being said, there should be a good deal of chemistry that goes back and forth throughout these teams. So it is really interesting to see how these teams play with each other, how their comms go through, and right now how Atlanta Dazed keeps these momentum and these pushes going as we run over the next hard point over at Garage.
Tell you what, Seattle's been doing a fantastic job at fending off Atlanta, not making this job all too easy. The opening segment definitely was Atlanta's favor, but Seattle coming right into this, making it feel like it's their own game as well. As we're going over to the next point, of course, you're now down at that garage area, a bit more confined, a bit more harsher angles to play with. But I tell you what, Atlanta, they're not on point, but they had control, but now they give it away as the reinforcements do start to come in. Now the engagements of the fights will come in. Noxus is going to find 2. Doze will get a trade back and find 2 of his own, as it all boils down slowly. Once again, Seattle with the better spawns will come in quickly, claim the point, and say thank you so much.
All 3 of the Seattle players, don't know if that's entirely necessary to do, but they do it. And they do it well. For quite some time there, Seattle was able to crowd onto the point. One was taken off into the process. The trade went through. And just like that, Seattle will sit comfortably, enjoy some scraps, and take the lead while they're at it. Now, a setup will ensue onto the next hard point, onto Bridge. As kills go through from both sides, no real control has been demonstrated just yet, but as there's no time onto the hill, Atlanta Dazed will take advantage of that, hop right on, and Leo is tasked with making a play. He's not able to.
Yeah, and in doing so, Atlanta got control of the underneath. Is Simple. Lovely work from himself, as he will find 2 once again and starts to build up the streak. Oh no! Oh, I was bigging you up, man, and then you go and whip like that. Simple somehow keeps himself alive, gets a 3rd in the pocket, find the 4th. There we go. I think the controller's reconnected, but he will fall.
Yeah, I mean, all good players miss their shots, LeBron James doesn't make all his free throws, so it's excusable to a certain degree, but hopefully next time not while we're watching you, okay? So time is going to go through on over to Atlanta. Loading will completely annihilate all three of Seattle. That challenges him. That's a 3 streak for him on his side of the spectrum. Simple will arrive and take his place. We want to move back over to P1. He'll get 1, he'll get 2, and Timid will clean up the rest. So far, Atlanta had been doing so well, but Seattle was able to keep up. Now we see, slowly but surely, Atlanta is drifting away. Loading is feeling himself. Noxious with the headshot to support it. Extracurriculars will ensue. Seattle does have spawns at this point in time, but with how Atlanta is playing right now at this point in time, it doesn't all look like those spawns will matter all too much, Hyper.
Atlanta's playing like the Atlanta we see in the CDL. Absolute dominance at the moment, and they're just having fun. Loading, I believe Loading and Simplex they have to be teammates normally. I think them two have come in together because you can just feel the way they're playing off each other and the way they're hitting those kills. Or it could just be the natural pure brilliance that they are walking in with. And this is so one-sided. Can Seattle get themselves out of this 100-point club? That's now the worry that starts to creep up as they see the score at 166 to 85.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The competitive nature is automatically heightened when you go into the pre-made. Yes, it's fun to get a team together and play with your friends. You got to take into consideration, right? These teams are all doing the exact same thing, so the competitive nature is there. And of course, like you said, we will see some dynamic duos. We will see Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown of the Atlanta Dazed. And like you said earlier, it's Simple and Loading. But that's not to say credit should be given to Timid and Noxious too for really anchoring themselves onto the time and allowing us to see that deficit onto the board right now, just as Atlanta Dazed so far is getting ever so slightly to surpassing Seattle by almost over 100 points. Seattle, I know it's sunny, I know it's hot in Rio, but my goodness gracious, if I were you, I'd try your hardest to get out of that 100-point club, and they do it.
I tell you what, Atlanta are enjoying the sun. They're probably having a little siesta while we speak. They allow Seattle to get a little bit of time, build their momentum as they can come in stronger and faster. And exactly what Atlanta's going to do, find the complete clearance, as that's the feed you want to see. All red, and in doing so, Atlanta will claim the points in the Brazilian heat, and they are having the drinks, they're having the party, because all they need to do now is lock this down close to 200 as Seattle will bring in that cold weather and push them right in. And Seattle, they make the break, but they don't have players left to hold the point.
They don't have any players left to hold the point, and this is a scary scenario to be if you're Seattle. Atlanta has reached that 200-point mark, so every single darn second, if you can take it, Seattle, I'd try your hardest to do it. Biden will be able to get 1, but not the second, as Seattle Sloths, well, they'll get themselves acclimated onto that garage point. Atlanta, they've been no strangers to making successful breaks, and they do it. So far, they're doing it well, as Noxious will pick up enough to get a cruise missile under his belt to really solidify themselves as the victors of this map 1. But Feud, well, he'll say, not if I have anything to do with it. And he knows the cruise missile is being invested in. It hits nobody, but Loading's got a cruise missile into his back pocket. He's trying to eliminate all the time from being collected, and he does it. He does it well. That's a 2 for Loading. Simple pick up the 3rd, and there goes the 4th. Noxious will make Seattle fall.
I tell you what, Atlanta are on fire. 15 seconds left. It's a big investment of both of those cruise missiles to get the last 15 seconds. So it really was just scrap time they were fighting for. They didn't have the power, they did not have the control that they had previously. So are Atlanta getting a little bit cocky here and playing for picks rather than the objective? That's what I'm starting to fear. However, Noxious, he's come alive, taking him the entire game to do so, but he is building that kill streak as he will fall. And now Seattle have got to find their way onto point. They do so indeed. And I'm starting to question Atlanta here. All was good. They have the streaks. They have everything in their favor, but they're slacking.
They are slacking at that. I mean, can you blame them? They're still up by quite some time here, but quite some time can turn into the map if you're not careful. Atlanta Dazed only a couple of seconds away from taking home map number 1. They're just going to take some you know, scratch their head, shrug their shoulders, and allow Seattle to have a little bit of snacks and scraps to feed themselves. If they've been starved so far throughout this game, they'll hit 160. And Seattle will now be tasked to make a break. Make that break onto P1 and hopefully take back the map. They're not able to do it. Time is almost running out. The intensity of the moment is rising as the urgency for Seattle to make a break is just not happening. Loading was on a 4 streak, but he'll be taken out by Butte. Biden will go in as well to clean up the dirty work. Do the dirty deed. From behind is Simple. Leo, with only 1 life to give left at this point in time, will try to challenge Simple, and Simple staring down the barrel of the team. Is not able to do anything. The successful break goes through. Timid snakes from behind. He'll say, no, 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 you go from behind, I go from behind. Contest will fall. Timid will ultimately be the one to close out map number 1.
Atlanta got a little cocky, got a little bit excited, nearly allowed the way of the way of Seattle, sorry, to come right back in. You can't get too cocky. That nearly slipped away. Even
Mixed or pre-made, excuse me. We are now on search and destroy after seeing Atlanta completely steamroll through Seattle in the hard point. And just like that, Seattle, although they'll be down by 1 life going into this round number 1, will get the bomb down and get it done swiftly. Biden and his teammate across at Palm Tree 2 will be the last 2 alive to make a play and take home an early round win.
Yeah, an early round win will always come in handy. Biden getting 1 of the frags. Now it brings it down to a 2v3, but both of them at the back of the bomb. Dudes will do well. Now Noxious is saying thank you. Dudes still going. Dudes! Oh, he's not going to get it, and in doing so, Loading will defuse the bomb, and he ain't loading anymore. He's in this game.
How do you hold on for just a couple of seconds? I know it's unreasonable to say it. The Dudes could have very well pulled that off and allowed a round win from Seattle. But nevertheless, Seattle was staring down the barrel of Atlanta all too much last map on hardpoint. So much so that Hyper, I believe you said, that Atlanta had almost been treating it like it was just a kill game, like a TDM. Farming kills and not really playing objective all too much, which allowed Seattle to sort of get ahead a little bit and fight back and claw their way, trying to claw their way through the map, and it just wasn't enough. Now on Search and Destroy, at least we're seeing a little more promising, some life from Seattle after a devastating loss, and right now, well, the name of the game is B. Atlanta will try to opt themselves onto the point, and Noxious, that's disgusting.
That is critical as well, getting that positioning deep into enemy territory, and now you can kind of cover the entirety of the site, and even with Bude right there at clock, he's got good control at good control down low. Bude doesn't know that the bomb from Tim is there. Noxious.
Whoa.
Oh, I thought the assassination was coming in as well with the way he held it, but no. Just a melee, just a beatdown, and now it's a 2v2. Bomb going down. Seattle, a little bit of work to do here because they need to clear the back. Biden, unable to get the frag.
This is where I really think, you know, the fact that we're playing in pre-made, like, come on, Seattle. You hear the shots are being rung from dudes. You got to start rotating over to those shots, and you got to listen in and listen close to see if you can make a play and make it well to allow that round win. But Timid, oh no, don't you do it to him, Timid. No, Timid, why? He's going to miss the kill onto Biden, who ran right by him. Handed him on a silver platter. Leo will seek him out into that little divot there. Look at the defuse, and that small error will turn into a large feat as Seattle will answer to Atlanta's previous round win.
Seattle are going to say thank you so much. A good opportunity to claw their way back, to get back at Atlanta. And in doing so, all tied up first rounds, and usually when we see in all tied up first rounds, the last few games we've had has led to a round 11 opportunity. But this time, a change of strategy, a change of path, shall we say. His bomb will go north as Simple, left alone behind the bomb, finds one, somehow stays alive, and rotates round as that's going to be number 2. Simple says thank you very much, and Simplext is very happy.
I'm sure he is very happy with that. It's all mind games from Atlanta onto Seattle, and they fell for it. Put them into the blender out of that, and play a little bit of game of cat and mouse. If you were to lack of a better term, but here comes the child from Dudes onto Simple, and he's waiting onto the other side, picks up his third. This could very well turn into an ace for Simple, and there it is. Atlanta Dazed with a fire, entering right back to Seattle Sloths win. That'll tell him. That'll be it, Hyper. First of all, try to kill me as quick as you can if you're Simple, and second of all, don't you ever try to go to that ace side because Simple will always be waiting on the other side.
Yeah, brilliant rotation, brilliant mind games, and that's exactly what Simple needs to do. Take the first kill, escape with your life, and I don't know how the unexpected rotation came in, but hey, this is Iron level, so this is some lower levels, people still finding the grips to the game. So very, very easily, you just jump through the other window, go to the easy chow there. Forbidden, sorry, wow. Biden, I keep calling him Forbidden. Biden gets taken down, and he will not be able to take advantage of the double chow situation.
Nope, not at that. And Atlanta will basically go over to Seattle Sloths, pat him on the back, and say, let me show you how it's done. Execute that nicely as they acclimate themselves onto A. There goes the bomb plant. Not a single will fall from Atlanta as the bomb is planted. Dudes, I thought for a second there you got to get the defuse off of Butte across the map. Butte and Dudes, the dynamic duo, will try their hand. Even the lives of the playing field. Butte, you have no more bullets. Get out of there and reload your gun, because in 28 seconds you will lose this round unless you do something quick. The location has been made from both sides of the spectrum, and Seattle will try their hand at slowly but surely moving themselves up and loading. We'll wait for the opportunity to arise. The door has been busted open. Dudes will trade shots. Loading will go right back onto the bomb as he suspects the defuse to go through. And Atlanta will take home that round, but not before there is any resistance shown from Seattle.
Not much you can do if you're Butte. You just gotta take the kill and, you know, take your own life. He committed to the bomb. You just gotta stick with it. Realistically, I wouldn't have even jumped off. I would have just taken the death while on the bomb, but that's me personally. I'm a man who likes to ninja defuse and try and sneak one from under their noses, but nonetheless, Atlanta, again, nice post-plant positions behind those cafe, not allowing easy aggression to come forward, because there is a fairly sizable gap between the buildings and to the cafe, so you do have to cross a amount of open space before you get caught out. And talking of open spaces,
oh no,
Dude pushed himself into the open space, and in doing so will fall. Simple will get one, and Doze will get a trade on the other side. Tim just can't find the shots.
Yeah, from top, Tim has all the information. He's screaming to his comms. They're on bomb, and he's not able to do anything. The bomb has been planted, and Atlanta FaZe will say, I got you, Tim. Got your back. Let me get the defuse down and avenge your death out of that. Simple is on a 9 streak, ladies and gentlemen. And it almost seems like the rest of the boys in red are as well, as they've shown no sign of slowing down so far. That's 2 in a row for Atlanta.
You read my mind. I saw that 9 streak and I was going, hell no, you cannot be doing a 9 streak on an S&D of all games. A game where it's ridiculously hard. You got 1 life to play with per round and you're not dying? Does it not make sense? 9 and 2, 9 streak going, lost the lives in the first 2 rounds, and now coming back with force and a cruise missile in that back pocket. He's saying thank you so much. And the question is, when do you deploy the cruise missile? Or, if you use it, well, Simple's going to use it here and now, get a free kill, a free lead. Player runs inside.
No.
Oh, that's a horrible situation.
That is a horrible situation at that, and a situation in which Dudes completely capitalizes on loading and Simple, the man who killed his own teammate and caused mayhem for the side of Atlanta will be the last two alive. Leo will try his hand. Chow unloading. The bomb has been dropped. Simple will sit on top AC with some knowledge as to where Leo is, but has no idea where Lude is at, Butte is at all. So quickly and so he just grabbed the bomb. Swiftly grab the bomb, go for a wrap, head on over to A, but Butte will be meeting him on the other side.
Daddy popped as well. He's got a great amount of stealth here, but no matter what stealth you have, if you're in a great position behind Cafe, you're not going to win that battle if you're rushing over to site. Simple streaks come to an end, and that was 11 in total. Finally, death will reign from outside, and Bude says thank you very much. Let's stop this mayhem.
Did he get the cruise missile? Did he get another cruise missile on top of the one he had?
Nope.
Okay, so at least
not stack.
So with that being said, he did invest that cruise missile. Seattle Sloths probably wiping the sweat off their foreheads, thinking to themselves, we have finally got him to use his cruise, not on any of us, but his own teammate. Here we are right now, opening into round number 6. Sorry, 7. Can't even count. It's been a long night, ladies and gentlemen. Please bear with me. 3v4 situation. Seattle Sloths will have one that seems to be disconnected, but the show must go on. As a lag spike seems to infuse onto the map, it might not just be Seattle that's having a problem with connections. Nevertheless, Simple will pick up a kill on debut, now leaving Biden and Leo. Now Biden off to fend for himself from behind. Biden will try his hand, but don't you know, Biden, you should never, ever challenge someone unless you absolutely know you're going to kill him, especially in a 1v3 situation. He's pinched into a corner. There goes a headshot onto Timid. Biden, left, playing ring around the rosy with loading. Will rotate himself with the bomb held tightly in hand. A 1v2 situation. I don't think he realized that from behind. Simple is the COD timing is worse than ever. If he runs across the map, he kills loading within a matter of a second. He might be able to get the bomb down. Simple has to rotate all the way across the map, and that rotation just might be the time he needs to get the bomb planted. There it is. Biden has planted the bomb. Simple knows where he is. He thinks he's confident. He thinks he can chow, but he's not able to. Biden stands up and says, 1 DCs, the 2 are killed, but I'm here to stay. Take home the round win.
I do not know what I just watched. I genuinely could not fathom the
There he goes, he's back in the game. The DC player is back into the game. Seattle is back seamlessly without any sort of notice to the fact that they started off that round at a disadvantage.
I'm still getting to grips at how Biden clutched up that round. How do you get so lucky? Because so much of that was luck. So much COD timing in play to be able to rotate around Junkyard, slip through Simple, slip through loading, get back to B, plant the bomb, get off the bomb, and still win the gunfight. There's too much there.
All I'm saying, Hyper, is that this is Iron Premade, and you might not think the skill level is there, but the crazy plays certainly are. And there goes the bomb being planted as 26 seconds are left, and Atlanta Dazed can sit nicely.
I tell you what, Seattle just need to play with 3 players. They did better with 3 players than they have done with 4. Bude left alive. As there is 2 left. Okay, I take my words back. Down to Tim and Bude. It's Bude! And Seattle are coming back from the grave. And what looked to be another dominant session from Atlanta is turning all against them. 1 DC and a return. I tell you what, the Seattle boys are getting excited here.
I'll tell you what, Hyper, I know the glazing has to end somewhere. We had a lot of disruptions, a lot of stoppages with disconnection, connectivity issues over in the Platinum Premade. Now, we move on over to the Iron Premade. A DC goes through, and the team with the DC not only wins the round, but has a spark. A spark with momentum to move through to the next round and win it in style. Both rounds allowing a disadvantage to turn into a advantage as they pull that off. Tie game on both sides of the spectrum, and for Atlanta, oh, you must be shaking in your boots at this point in time.
looking at my boots for sure. Unless you're simple. Simplexed is going to say thank you very much. And he is going to take the first. Daddy's popped. No more information. It's actually above you, buddy. You need to go up those stairs and you might find Biden. And you might find one more. As that is loaded from the open. Simple again of trigger discipline. Making sure he has the good peaks. Now it's an advantage Atlanta. But we've seen disadvantage situations from Seattle. Is another dream coming true?
Oh my god.
Might start to come into play. Doze brings it to 3-2.
It's like they start to shine under pressure. They start to shine when they're under the lives. 2v2 situation, formerly a 3v2. Biden gets the read, but the question is it Simple gonna be able to sneak on through? And Dooz says not if I have anything to say about it. Bomb will be planted. Noxious will be the last alive, going neutral to fend for his team to do the very same thing Seattle did last round. He's chowed by Biden, left alone into the corner with nothing else to do. And there he goes. Hyper, the bomb has been hopped, and Noxious will opt not to go with the plan.
It was a fake. It was a dummy fake and it's failed. Seattle will take that, and what should have been a committed defuse and potentially enough time as well to commit to the defuse has worked against him. Those will say thank you very much. And what looked to be, as I said, an Atlanta victory is slipping away. Seattle match point.
But look at how clean that kill was too from Dooz. You can tell he's feeling it. Every single bullet penetrating into Noxious to end that round. If that doesn't make a statement, that final kill cam with the precision, the accuracy, and the read that Noxious very, very well could chow from Cubby is beyond me at this point in time. So nades are going to be tossed. Seattle Sloths, it is map point, just as Hyper said. Could very well put one on the board. What seemed like the impossible into this series is now starting to look like a dream come true, as now the water begins to settle, as I probably should be at this point in time. Atlanta, they don't want to waste their lives. Only have 4 to give to Seattle, and that could be it.
Yeah, bomb not down just yet. You can see Tim's in a bit of a situation. And he will take his time before getting onto Biden. Joe Biden. Beat down will say thank you very much. And he will get traded out by Noxious. And now you're down to Noxious and Tim left against Doze and Bude. And when time is precious, 34 seconds, you still have a little bit to play with.
Got some time.
But they're pinched. Pinched into that site. They now have to commit. But if you're now Seattle, you've got to make sure the bomb does not go down.
Oh, they're gonna have to get out.
And it's gonna be a round. It's gonna be Seattle's win.
Oh my
Pinched
good lord.
to perfection.
Are we now gonna see Hyper teams intentionally DC now? The Seattle effect? Could that possibly rain on over this?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we go into the high rise control. And I tell you what looked to be dominance from Atlanta fell into their faces as Seattle went four round streak and came right the way back into the game and won that map. And Scav, we're going on to control, and I know you love a good bit of control, especially when Atlanta are stacking the site and getting the job done early.
Oh, Bude.
Tick already done, nearly got the second. That's a start you want to see.
That is a really good start out of that. And before we are during the break, we asked if all the players were ready to go for production side of things. And let me tell you, Noxious not only said, yeah, I'm ready, as everyone else does, he said ready with an exclamation mark. So that, to me, tells me that he's excited to get this show on the road, excited to prove to the stream and all the viewers that are watching back at home that Atlanta Dazed is not a team to be seen as inferior to that of Seattle. And they've proven just that so far with getting a tip. But time still will keep going as Noxious will make the wrap, around and allow an opening to be made for Simple to pick up the trade. And now Atlanta really hard focusing on this A, as they probably find it the hardest to get. And now Seattle, although they're on the defensive side, they are down in the lives, but not if Leo says, let me get a 2-piece and at least cause a little bit of headache before I die.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he needs to do, Leo. Go for a different strategy instead of throwing bodies onto the point. You've got to wrap around, go for a different strategy, and it's worked well. Now, Seattle able to regain control. 26 seconds left for Atlanta to claim point A, but they could go to point B, but they're going to try the split strategy, try and divert forces, try and divert reinforcements. And it's not going to work because as soon as Atlanta gets somewhere on point, they get taken down as shown in front of us.
Wow. There's Seattle Sloths again, fighting back to what Atlanta Dazed, excuse me, had started to go with. I'm telling you, it takes the Seattle team just a couple of seconds, you know, some time, a couple of deaths before they really kick it into four-wheel drive, just as we have been saying. They've been pulling off some crazy plays, crazy kills, and very, very unlikely engagements to their favor. But, you know, not trying to dismiss any credit or anything, but it is a defensive round. So it's sort of the expectation that Seattle will win. But now with the ball in their court, 2 zones to take, 6 total ticks. Begs the question of whether or not if Seattle can reflect what they've done on the offensive strategy as Atlanta. Well, they'll opt to sit mid-map, create a big red wall, and try and this momentum.
You want to get those early picks. You want to make sure you can stop the attacking force as early as possible, and then in doing so, go and push into their spawn. And in what they're doing is doing good work so far, as the whole of Seattle will get wiped, but unfortunately nothing that Atlanta can do in terms of the spawn traps here. They just have to sit by the point, wait patiently, and allow Seattle to go for another wave of attack, which is in a dangerous position, especially when the feed starts to turn blue. And Seattle gonna put 2-3 people onto that B side, and Loading needs to get onto the point. He needs to start denying. He's on there. There's 1. Can he find 2? No. Seattle will continue to keep the tick going with 2 people. So it's traveling fast. B completed. And they will say thank you very much. Spoke too soon. Now it's done.
Yeah, for a second there, you have to wonder whether or not if Atlanta was trying to play Puro there at that point in time. But in this situation, I really wouldn't have chopped that if you could avoid it, because you're down in the lives and all that remains is A to be gained. Atlanta wasn't able to get a single objective fully done, and here comes Seattle doing it and doing it just well. It seems like it wasn't the defense that they were on, Hyper. It seems like the side of the map they were on didn't allow them to substantially win. It seems like they've just found their rhythm, as you usually say. They've found their place. They've found themselves in this series. And shots will continue to ensue as time is ticking, 1:15 in counting. Seattle Sloths, that's 4 from Atlanta to the respawn screens. They go, and on to A. Seattle will reign.
Again, another stack 3. All 4 for a brief second. We're on point. They're committed to the stack. 3 still on point. Now second tick done. Loading could be the thorn in the nest, and he will do contest, and it will be completely done. Atlanta will say thank you very much, pushes Seattle completely off, and with 1 tick remaining, this feels like a familiar situation from before, because all it took was 1 push from Seattle, and they were able to get a full wipe against Atlanta and retake points once again.
We get to a point now, Hyper, where yes, Atlanta can breathe heavily there for a second and sigh, maybe even you know, kick your feet up for a second, but no, look at the lives. 9 and 11, 8 and 11 at this point in time, and Seattle still has a 41 seconds to cause mayhem onto the side of Atlanta. So not everything is all fine and dandy for the guys in red. I mean, my goodness gracious, Seattle has already again had another DC, but this could be it, Hyper. This could be the DC that allows him to kick in the 4-wheel drive, and well, here's a familiar face. Biden will get the time going. He finds 1 and 2. Leo will clean up and do the dirty work from behind. Not able to find the kill. Dudes will hop on the point, and with 21 seconds and counting, Seattle might be down by 3, but we've seen them do crazier things and crazier scenarios. 15 seconds and counting.
Yeah, and if you're going to be Biden, you've got to come up with a clutch play. There's another kill. No, denied. Simple on a 5 spree as well. Need to not give him the final kill. With time remaining, 3 seconds left. The clock will go down. 4v4. No one can get on point. And I think if there was an extra player this time round, Seattle might have clutched the round, but in doing so, that DC not helping them out.
Yeah, they certainly could have clutched up with that DC. It happens all too much. I'm sure at this point in time, Atlanta said, well, you got away with it the first time. Let's not allow that same mistake to go through and happen again. But, I mean, still bravo from the side of Seattle. They certainly are still winning in the tick game. So if it does, if for some reason go to a round 5, which I don't really see it happening if Seattle is still down by 3, then it should be Seattle's game to defend. Atlanta now sitting with Simple at top as per usual with a 5-3 to his name. Could very well put this round to rest and put it to rest very quickly with a cruise missile.
So he's getting that long distance shot. You see maybe 1 or 2 of those actually go through and be successful, but wow, it is entertaining to see a cross map kill, and this is how small the map is, that you can do that. Simple will find the 6th kill and the 6th streak, and he will say thank you so much as finally he will get taken down. So an opportunity here for Atlanta to capitalize on a great tool, but the question is, when do you use it? And if I'm them, you want to use that in the next round, when you're either on the dying moment or on the path of winning. And I tell you, on the path of winning, 2 people on B, second tick about to commence, gone through, and they've still got time. The players of Seattle are pushed off point, and that tick will go through, and now an extra minute added on to the time, minute 40. Atlanta looking a bit more in control.
I'll tell you what, although Atlanta does have a minute and 40 to work with, I mean, Seattle is still holding their own decently well right now. Biden, to name a few, he's going 16-9. He'll be at the top of the leaderboard of Seattle, and and knocking on the door is Butte, and he'll plant himself right onto the A right at the last moment, almost to rescue Seattle from an unfortunate round loss. But I hate to say it to you, Butte, but they were still holding up quite nicely during that DC. So buy him a scoop of ice cream or maybe dinner or lunch or something like that tomorrow, because they've done a decent job at holding their own even while you were gone. And they'll continue to do that as Atlanta is still down by 1 life right now in the deficit. When one gets a kill on Seattle, his teammate is there to clean up shop, set up camp, and not allow any sort of tick or progress to occur onto A.
Simple going round the back, and he is going to look for those spawn traps, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He just wants to play his time. Ooh. That's going to be 1 easy. Now he's in a great position here that he can start to put some damage onto Seattle. There's 2. Now he looks over to the spawns. He now knows time's coming in, but in doing so, Bude has called him out. Simple, of course, it only lasted 2 seconds. Bude not taking a step back, not getting the ice cream. You said he's right in with this, and 9 and 14 in the lives. Seattle, they've got a comfortable lead here.
I've never thought I've said 3v4 in a lead. I've never thought would ever go into the same sentence, but so far it has. Yes, with the exception of Bude coming back, he's gotten 5 kills. Yes, I can agree with that. But if you add those 5 kills to Atlanta, it's still a 10v13 situation. So Seattle now looking like the team that's dominating the very team that put on a show on Hardpoint, will not allow any more progress on A. There goes round number 3 to Seattle. Map point for Seattle.
Yeah, but this is also a control. Defensive-sided dominance. Both teams have won on defense. I will be honest, though. Seattle were almost just on the edge of getting the second round to be theirs. So, it does beg the question, this map point could very well go to Seattle if they can pull off the same performance with 4 players rather than 3. However, we know Atlanta has fraggers. We know that Simple can frag. We know Loading and Noxious can pull up their pants and go and do something. But pressure will be applied, an immediate push onto that A side. Players of Atlanta still remain split, and Loading, well, he's just loading up here, waiting for someone to peek through, and he will not find the kill.
Well, let me tell you something, Hyper. To employ that split strategy, or even employing that strategy where you try to rush cap A, is what Atlanta tried to do in the very first round. Honestly, in my opinion, due to an overconfidence in thinking that they would be the victors walking out of it. Seattle did not do that in their offensive round and went for B, and they ended up winning it out of that. Now, when you're at a point where you're at a lead, you know where your team stands offensively is when you can get comfortable with doing those A pushes, can get comfortable with taking those risks, because like I said earlier, you know what had happened last time when you did it, and you saw success with that, and you honestly, at this point, would just want to multiply it. So with that being said, 2 ticks have been done onto A. Seattle, although they're down by 2 rounds, it's not too much of a surprise because they are on the offensive, but at this point in time, Atlanta Dazed is starting to get the ball rolling as kills will ensue on both sides, and no real progress will be made onto A, but Beautiful will change that. There goes the time, Hyper.
B is going to be pressured as well, so this time bring the attention somewhere else. They still got 40 seconds to play with on that game clock, and even with Noxious on point, Seattle are not worried at all. Meanwhile, Tim, he's just having a chill time, comes in, takes them out, but 1 tick done. But that's 3 ticks, but not in one place. So still 30 odd seconds to go. And Atlanta, they're happy with this. They're happy with the situation. Because at the end of the day, Seattle haven't chosen a site. And they need to choose one. And in doing so, they're going to go for that longer time clock and try and push B.
Push B is the name of the game. We got a player like Loading and Noxious on streaks to their own. You got to wonder, when will it end? And when we see the aggressiveness go through, Noxious with the Renetti will go through, get the kill. Biden will be left alone and get pinched into the process. Loading will mantle on top of that electrical spot there. See it, look around, nobody's home. Dewz and Leo will finally allow an opening to make. Biden will make the third. And again, the split strategy for some reason will try to ensue from Seattle, but at that, he'll be taken out of the process. So Dewz will jump on the point. He reads the helipad call out. So just waiting on the other side, but the stun goes through. Ring around the rosy will happen, and Atlanta Dazed have been firing through as Seattle will try, and they won't be able to do it.
Yeah, brilliant work from Atlanta. Keep applying the pressure, respawning straight onto B, continuous rotation, straight onto it. And that's what's working. They're throwing bodies at this, but in doing so, they're getting the kills to go with it. So even if they do throw a body, they're getting 1 to 2 kills, then dying. And this is keeping their lives advantage going, and it's forcing Seattle to take that longer route back. In my opinion, I should have seen Atlanta start to send maybe 1 or 2 people to go towards A. They did at the very end, but they should have done that a little bit earlier. They may have capitalized more time on the already further progressed site. But again, hindsight is 20/20. You could see everything in front of you, but we can, they can't.
I'll tell you what, right now, Noxious must be punching the air right now. 13. Score on the objectives, and they're still at a point where they're at around 5. Biden will answer to that and allow 13 as well to his name. So I guess you could say pretty even on both sides of the spectrum, but oh no. Hyper, another DC has happened. Viewed is killing Seattle with the DCs, but again, we've seen crazier things happen with the boys in blue. So the action will continue to commence. The show must go on. The curtains will open. And now the tide has been turned as Atlanta will put Seattle into the blender as time is being taken onto B. And Seattle looking left, right, center, but only will they see the barrels of the boys in red. I'm not exactly sure what that punch was there for. Maybe some anger? I don't know.
Well, no matter what, this has allowed Atlanta to massively gain advantage first. B side completely done. They continue to press down onto A, and now you can start to see that little bit of cockiness start to come back again as they will finish off A all too easy. It begs the question, was the DC the problem?
So the DC from Viewed happened in that round 5. And up to the administration in the CRL, there will be a round restart. So the score lines do not reflect. It is technically speaking 2-2. Atlanta is on the offensive and Seattle is on the defensive. So Viewed will allow Seattle to live to see another day at a round restart. Shots immediately will be traded on both sides of the spectrum, but at this point in time, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, if Viewed does DC, I don't think there's anything else that can be done.
It's always unfortunate, and as mentioned, we are subject to the DC problems as well, but there's nothing you can do. We will still run as we're getting closer and closer to midnight over at the eastern side. Me and Scav are Eastern boys, and well, this game's going to be definitely continuing into midnight nonetheless. However, back to the game itself, Atlanta struggling this time, lives are falling, and I tell you what, Seattle have been pushing them to their limits, and it's going to be all blue with that extra player on their side. I tell you what, Seattle are having a field day, and they're defending like they started,
Oh my God.
not allowing a single point to come through, and finally loading breaks the streak.
Seattle has been now proven, in my opinion, has convinced that they are the team that is not to be reckoned with, as finally Atlanta, all four will stack onto the point, frantically looking for a particular solution to extend this game as long as possible. The break goes through, Simple with the last slide. You want anyone to do it, it's going to be him, so he gets one kill, but not the second. The time will keep ticking down. Again, keep in mind it is 2-2, so there will be no other round. 5 seconds left. Seattle all into the feed. Simple had to reload for a second, and from behind, Buse says stay to the ground. Seattle will take home that map, and now will allow it to be series point.
That's a change of dynamic there. It was FaZe who took it, and there was a player lost. But well, we're still keeping it going. We've still got more action. We're going into hardpoint on 6-star. Seattle Sloths 2 maps up against Atlanta Dazed and Scav. This day just keeps on going. We're already into tomorrow. What's next? Next week?
Well, what's next? It looks to be a Seattle impressing everybody and knocking everyone's socks off. I mean, Jesus, he went into map number 1 thinking Atlanta's got this in their back pocket, just as they had cruise missiles raining all over in Rio. But now, Seattle Sloths have been able to turn it around into their favor, and now we're back onto hardpoint. The very hardpoint that Seattle had shown themselves to be the inferior opponent are now going into this one looking to be the team that will take it all home. But the question is, can they do it? As Atlanta got some decent time on a P1, they move on over to P2, and at that, Noxious and Loading are getting all kills into the feed and not allowing Seattle to even breathe onto the point.
Atlanta gets their first hold, the early points onto P2, and in doing so, Simple again finding his footing and getting some kills. However, will be slightly broken for a few seconds, as Atlanta will say, no, this is our point, and get reinforcements to back them up. But just as we keep speaking, Seattle will turn the time, as Biden will find 2 and control fully and finally taken over for the Seattle squad, and they will take control of P2. While they do that, P3, well, that's looking all Atlanta.
Tell you what, right now, Atlanta has seemingly been the team that looks to have a little bit more map knowledge when they're put up against a team like Seattle, because I don't know if you saw there, but Atlanta caught both Seattle players. I believe that was Biden or Dazed and Bude were both caught completely off rotations, and not from head on, not from a head on engagement, but from behind. You see little errors like that from Biden again, sort of laying prone right in front of Atlanta, getting killed right away. I just think a lot of map knowledge is going to be what plays into Atlanta taking home this map. So far, they look like they're going to do it, and do it by a margin, as Seattle has done very little to contest against Atlanta. And as the time starts to run out, a couple of seconds and counting, 23 seconds make it and counting, Atlanta will remain in charge of this map.
Yeah, Atlanta just have, as you mentioned, that great map knowledge, and when you have that, you are able to rotate quicker, faster, and more efficiently, make those breaks more efficiently. And you can see Biden, oh, he keeps himself alive, as Bude will pick up 2, and map control finally going into Seattle's favor. Now they've got to lock down this site and not allow Atlanta to push on and to enforce their dominance on the hardpoint sessions.
Yeah, very much so. Seattle Sloths will finally get themselves onto point view. That's a good start for you. How about that? Lining them up like dominoes and taking care of business. As Tim tries to put himself onto the point, tries to get that contest through the stun is thrown at the very worst possible time. And here comes Atlanta. The boys in red will infiltrate onto the point, swarming them like bees at an angry hive, and retake that point. Seattle has been able to get 53 seconds of time out of that onto themselves, but Atlanta, slowly but surely, after this point is done, should be able to cross that 100-point mark, but not if THURS has something to say about it.
You want to make sure you get across that mark. You want to make sure you have that assertive lead. And the point open just for a brief moment, and now Seattle taking over P1, covering all angles for now because they just can't work out where the spawns are. And I tell you what, Tim was looking to take that kill, but gets traded out very quickly. And now Seattle starting to realize where the spawns are. You can see Doge trying to do some magic, create some spawn flip, and he is doing a fantastic job of keeping himself alive. Does push back into sight, as he will need to back up some reinforcements. Atlanta still have spawns, and they're saying thank you for the situation.
Hey, I'll tell you this, Hyper. Seattle have gotten themselves not only right back into the game, but gotten themselves in a position where 2 of their players are on make it 1. Feud is on a streak of 4. Although he has 7 seconds of time, the smallest amount so far in the lobby. He's going to be holding on to his life because in the back pocket, he might be able to get a cruise missile. There goes the Crow Tree. It's placed, and it's placed at the absolute wrong time. COD timing at its best, not allowing the cruise missile to go in. Biden will go in, try to capitalize on his teammate's death, get the kill, but no. We're back to P2, just as you said earlier, Hyper, and we're back to Atlanta Dazed, staying ahead on this map.
Yeah, and they're gonna start to lock this down, but if you're Bude, you ain't staying alive for much longer again. Bude picking up a 2-piece, recreating the streak that he so desperately wants. Oh, that was awkward. That was hella awkward.
Oh
Looked at each other in the eyes and just kind of felt the moment, felt the love and connection.
They gazed into each other's eyes, and that's that romantic song. You know? That's a clip-worthy moment right there if you're someone who loves watching the CRL and getting a good laugh about it. I mean, hey, we're up pretty late, but at least the good chuckles at that. 2 players of Seattle, 1 player of Seattle, 1 from Atlanta will get caught lacking as they gaze into each other's eyes. But ultimately, Dazed will be the ones with the scraps, some leftovers to feed themselves after being starved the past 2 maps. A new hill will arise, and just like that, Seattle will hold themselves on the point. THURS will get the grenade kill, and from behind, View will be the one that cuts off from rotation. But behind him, Tim will try his heart out, and again, Seattle will reign as victors so far onto this point.
I'll tell you what, Seattle have again found their rhythm, and they're coming back a bit stronger, and in doing so, Dazed and does not able to get the second, but is able to get 1. Bude, oh, for a brief second, I thought he was gone, but an explosion does save his life. And Seattle, this is a good hold, a good lockdown. They need to be careful of loading because he's come from the rear. Finds 1, finds 2. He's got the Renetti out. Can he get 3? He's trying his best. Out of bullets. What's he got left? He's got the Renetti. He just keeps himself alive, and the break will be successful. But already the rotation and eyes are looking down south. They're getting ready for P4.
If you would have asked me who I think would win this map, I'll tell you, I don't know. And at this point in time, I still have no freaking idea who's going to take this map home. And it seemed like Atlanta had pulled pretty far ahead, had a decent lead against Seattle, but Seattle hasn't woken up. And this time, it didn't take a DC for it to happen. So now moving on to the next hardpoint by statue. Atlanta Dazed will stay onto the point, get themselves acclimated with a great setup, but Seattle Sloths will pull up and say, no, get yourself off the point. I miss having the lead, and they'll take it right back from looking like it's taking candy from a baby, as Timmy will try his hand, try to get on point, and Leo Biden will remain onto the point and deflect the boys in red from causing any more damage.
Yes, Seattle are on fire. They are wanting this more than anything. I think they're as tired as much as the other players are, and they are wanting to close this out. If it's 11 o'clock for you, you're lucky. If it's 10, then hell, you're from California, and I don't know why you're still up. But if you're Eastern, Jesus Christ, you're wanting bed more than anything. And that's what Seattle are trying to do. Go and finish this off, go for nap time, and then making Atlanta daze and make them sleep as they continue to apply the pressure. Biden pushes onto point, can't get the kill that he's looking for. In doing so, it's time still ticking for Seattle. 40 seconds on the clock for P1. They need to keep themselves on the point as much as possible because Atlanta's pushing in once again. And Atlanta contesting, still fighting. Blue left on floor, no bullets left. Atlanta has the point.
2 headshots from Atlanta will allow them to retake the lead once again. And Noxious, well, he'll be obnoxious himself and push through Seattle Sloths and not allow that P2 rotation to go through and establish crucial control. There's 1 and 2 from Noxious. Surely by now, Atlanta knows that Noxious is over there causing mayhem, and so will Seattle as he picks up a 3rd so far on this life. Make it a 4th! And now, at Atlanta, what seemed to be an impossible retake over to P2, what seemed to be filled with blue by the waters here on 6-star, has now been a successful retake. Noxious, he was on a 5 spree before eventually being put to rest. But like I said earlier, Hyper, Seattle Sloth will reacclimate themselves right back onto the point, right back where they started, like taking candy from a baby.
Yeah, but even when you take the candy from the baby, you still have the mother to deal with, and Atlanta is the mother in this situation. They're coming in and they're telling Timmy off and saying, no, you can't steal, and in doing so, Atlanta has just been swiped by Timmy and said, hell no, we're stealing the candy, and then the fight continues and somehow the parent wins. They always do.
The screaming parent will reside over any screaming child at this point in time. So Seattle, well, they'll pitch a tent, set up camp. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. As Seattle Sloths, with 57 seconds left, they can win on this point, but Atlanta Dazed is just a bit closer, 228 to 209. The pushes go through. The team kill is there. Leo will find nothing but hit markers until eventually putting Simple to rest. Back to the respawns, Atlanta goes, and it's up to Loading to lead the charge, lead themselves to victory, but it's not enough, Hyper.
It's not enough, and Seattle are keeping this alive. Jesus, we are still going. Dose is going to come from the rear, take point, and now Seattle going to build that advantage. And just to let you know, we're getting to a point where no one can win this on this point. And now I can say for sure, no one can win it on this point. So we have to go to the final point of P4, where it's all down and do or die. If you're Seattle, you've got to win. If you're Atlanta, you're fighting to keep it in the game. And Dose there finds 1. He's unable to get any more, but Atlanta's on point. They just need to hold it off. 40 seconds left. They just need to stop the denial of 2 pushing, and this might go to map 5 contested just for a brief moment. Who's got the point? It's Biden on point. He's down low, unable to do anything. FaZe, keep it alive. 3 on point. They park the bus. Nothing you can do. 3 seconds left. Is there any chance to get 1 foot on the point? No. Map 5.
We're going to a map 5, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be tired in the morning for those of you who have an early day, because Atlanta Dazed will park the bus right onto the point in what looks like a nail-biter hard point. They've done it at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 Central Standard Time. We saw these 2 teams go head-to-head in their debut matches in the CRL Week 1 Summer Series. Now, just over an hour and a half to 2 hours later, they're back at it again, but this time on a map 5, 0-0, 4 lives to give, 6 rounds to win. It all boils down to this very moment. Atlanta Dazed did really well in hardpoint, but Seattle Sloths has arisen from the ashes, arisen from the doubts of people that they would even win, make it this far, and so far, they're doing well. 4v3 situation, and the bomb held tightly in hand from Bude.
Is defending that site like it is God purpose, but Tim did fall, and God did not want him to stay there for much longer, as Doge will find Simple, and this is a great start if you're Seattle, and they are bringing out a show. This is down to Loading to somehow clutch a 1v4, bring out the ace, but there's not really much you can do here. No major streaks just yet, so it's not like he can just sacrifice himself to deny the streak. He is going to try and get something on the board. He will find 1, so that's a great start, but will fall in the castle, and that will be the round for Seattle.
That'll be the round for Seattle. That'll be the round for Seattle. A strong start, I'm sure. Happy to see for them. Happy to hear if you're someone who's a Seattle fan and have run out of nails to bite, because it's nothing short of what this series has been. So for what both series honestly were, unfortunately, we were able to have to cut off the last tail end of the last series, but now we're moving on into the Iron, and honestly, the pace has just picked up. The intensity is there. The skill has slightly dropped a little bit in terms of placement, but everything else, all else remains the same.
There's a slightly drop of skill. That's a politely thing. Nonetheless, as mentioned, this is Iron compared to Plat, so a massive change of pace, massive different ways that people play. But I tell you what, if you're Leo, oh, that's not the play you want to play, because you're now still going 0 and 2 on that side, as he will, sorry, 0 and 1, and he will be kind of cussing to himself, not going to be able to help out as much as he could. Trade will go back in, and now it's tied up 3-3.
On the other side of the spectrum, Dazed is sitting nicely with a smirk on his face, I'm sure, thinking to himself, they never thought I could do it, but here I am. 3-0 to his name. But he does stand as the lone survivor to defend that B-bomb site. Finally, reinforcements arrive. Biden is waiting for Atlanta to make that mistake, and as time is ticking, they're sort of sitting there, waiting for Seattle to do the same, to make a mistake. Shots will go through. Dazed will begin the damage. And Simple will trade out Biden into the process. A stalemate will ensue. 2v2 situation. Completely unsure of where the last two alive on the other side of the map are, but it is Butte. He is coming from behind. There is no more time left to defuse the bomb. Why would you challenge that? Why? Atlanta Dazed will pull through in a round that they shouldn't have. Seattle Sloths, you can't be making those mistakes in a round and a map fight like this.
I can see why he pushed into it. You know, unsure of where the player was the bomb being planted? There's many questions you start to ask, but when the clock gets that low, honestly, allow the bomb to be planted, just stay a little bit back, you're in a safety net, and just play that risk. But instead, the risk of a chow is even worse, because there is a guarantee loss. Yeah. And in doing so, Atlanta takes that round, says thank you very much, and they're going to be one step closer for themselves. But the game tied 1-1.
Oh, without a reasonable doubt. All quiet lies in the western front, on the rubble of old relics. Destruction on invasion. The wind gusts through the player's ears as not a single person has made any substantial movements yet. The bomb in hand, Butte is going to try to avenge himself after an unfortunate round loss. And move on over with Biden. The dynamic duo will try to strike again, but Simple will wait. He'll wait for the perfect moment to take the shots, and he does it. There's one for the boys over at Red. Now 3 more to go.
3 more. And it's going to be a pain to get. Well, that one isn't. Tim finally getting the kill that he was hoping for. Down to Leo, left alive against a 1v4. We've had dream scenarios from Seattle before, but is this another case of a dreaming, or is this a case of reality? From the start, dream, then turns into reality. Atlanta will get that round, and Seattle, a booming start, a powerful start, has just been taken away from them.
No, it's been taken away from them at that, as Atlanta will finally arise themselves and take the lead in the search. But again, like I said earlier, Atlanta was up by, I believe, 3 rounds at some point when we were playing back at Karachi, and they still lost in the process. So, again, surprises are definitely no stranger to Seattle, no stranger to us watching them as well. Let's move on over to the next round, round number 4. The ball is in the court of Atlanta, and their task to shoot a 3 and swish it if they want to keep this momentum going and take home this series and turn off the game once and for all. That'll be Noxious' first pick to his name. An A-bomb site will be rushed, but rushed carefully and ever so slightly to use the advantage of lives in their favor.
Yeah, Atlanta don't need to really push up that much. They know they've been swarmed by Seattle and the aggression they've put in. And if you're Biden, you've gone all the way around the back of them as well. So he's on top of the building. I don't know if Tim's realized this. Tell you what, Noxious will let them know. So now the positioning of Seattle, they've got great information. Tim's going to check for his rear end. He's going to keep himself alive somehow. Somehow Biden stays alive, and now down to Noxious to clutch around and make the dream come true. Bomb's been dropped. And if you're Noxious, not much you can do in a 1v2.
Not much you can do at all, so that'll be Seattle answering to the deficit. Now tie game, 2-2 on the board. And moving into the next round, the question to be asked is what we can do with that, if we can push ahead, keep pulling ahead, and close this series out. Or if it'll just be a game of left, right for the entirety of the time until we get to that round 11. And from the sight of it, excuse me, and from what Hyper was whispering in my ear throughout the break, at least for Seattle, they want to end this quick and easy. Atlanta, same ordeal. So both teams are trying their heart out now as an B-bomb push will ensue, and at this rate, it'll be aggressive, Hyper. There's no holding back from Seattle. They came to play.
Yeah, Seattle just need to play aggressive here. They need to find a different pace, and in doing so, it's worked out on the opening, but now they started to hesitate. Look at what's happened. Atlanta able to get that pick back, and now Atlanta can start to reposition. They can almost... They have this timing to do it. They're not going to commit to it. I think they believe that there's going to be an A push somewhere along the lines. They do have a great position of Noxious ready and waiting if there is a B push. But what was fast has slowed right the way down.
Yep. Slowed right the way down. It's not a very familiar terminology to use to destroy. That is the name of the game. The name of the game is strategy, and strategy will favor loading. As he sits himself awaiting the last player of Seattle. A little bit of a tricky aim there for Timid, but don't worry, we will excuse it for now as you got the kill. And now Leo will be the one left alive with no bomb, no sense of direction, and no time to his hand. So through dark he will go, and it's like a little choo-choo train from Atlanta as they'll chug along and try to seek him out, get that final kill, and close this round out early.
The choo-choo train has separated, and in doing so, finally, the head of the train will get the kill. Atlanta Dazed bringing another another round to their side. Only 3 rounds away if you're Atlanta, or if you're from Seattle. But nonetheless, the game continues to keep going, and Atlanta. Again, I'm gonna go to something that you said. Realistically, Atlanta are better mechanically speaking, but Seattle,
They just hit their shots.
yeah, they've been able to hit the shots, but their map presence and map rotation, that's the questionable bit.
That is precisely right, and just as you say that, Timid will get the kill on the Biden. The car will explode, foreshadowing what happened earlier on when Seattle Sloths did the exact same thing in the search and destroy on Karachi, where I believe Tim was actually the victim of that car explosion. So that's that, and there goes the round. 1, 2, 3 inning. How about that, Hyper?
It's nice and quick. We love it. We're getting things done. We're getting to a point where we can all go to bed, and I'm sure that's what they all want to do. As apart from the one Pacific guy on the Atlanta team, which, yeah, you heard what I said. You will remember that. Nonetheless, a great round from Atlanta. Fast pace, went aggressive, and with this type of map, you can be aggressive, and it won't punish you too hard. So do it. Sometimes change up that pace. Be aggressive every so often. And hey, you'll see it work.
Well, to that argument, I'll say, Hyper, that yes, you can be aggressive sometimes and not be so punished as it was on a map like Rio or on a map like 6 Star. But to be quite frank with you, I guess you could also see it in both ways and say that if you are aggressive, there's no reinforcements to come in and pick up your trade. So a lot of risks to be had so far if you want to be an aggressive team like Atlanta has demonstrated throughout most of the time. But check it out. All of Seattle going through bus station and kind of clumping themselves up together and saying, we are a force and we shall march until the bomb is planted. They'll get one, a loading will be waiting on the other side and pick up that trade at the other one. 3v2 situation will ensue. But Biden, oh, he'll quickly even the playing field on both sides of the spectrum, but it's not enough. Those will be sitting all alone. As Noxious and Simple, well, they'll be the guys to close out the round if you want some good closers. But again, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Seattle Sloth, so anything is possible. But with time being ticked, no sense of bomb. I don't know if it's gonna happen.
23 seconds. Well, doesn't matter anymore. Atlanta, match and series point. And it's only 5-2, so plenty of buffer room if you're Atlanta. If you make a mistake, that's okay. You've got time, you've got rounds to play with, but at the same time, they want to close it out here. Bring the humiliation forward after some close battles.
Close battles at that. It all boils down to this. Is all the effort that you put forward for nothing? We'll see in just a couple of seconds. 4 lives to give for Seattle. Can they do it?
To any nades. Oh. Caster's Curse 101, right? It's Noxious will get the early nade. And I saw it. I saw it coming with Bude coming and walking through the courtyard. It was almost destined to happen. Forbidden will fall, Biden will fall as Noxious will get another, and Seattle are on the back burners here, down to Leo. He's not really popped off at the moment. He's never really been the forefront of a name, and Atlanta will put the bomb down. Leo, the dream has to come alive. He will find 1. He needs to get another 2, and he will fall. Atlanta will take the series, will take the map, takes everything, and finally we can go to sleep.
Can't blame them for trying, at least. 2-6. It's a really interesting series out of that. I mean, you look at these teams, look at the stat lines. I don't think anybody, not even the...